Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Hello and welcome to this special presentation of the UP Investor Summit 2018 being held on the 21st of February. Now, of course, it's a gathering, it's a meeting of the minds, the best and brightest, both from policy and industry. Their mission is simple: to drive UP forward as the growth engine of India. Now, the key plan in that is the technology sector, and that brings us to the big question of the day: how to make UP the IT hub of India. And to answer that question, we have a power-packed panel with us. Let me quickly introduce you to them. Mr. Sanjeev Saran, Additional Chief Secretary of IT and Electronics with the Government of Uttar Pradesh, joins us to provide the policy perspective. And for the private sector perspective, we've got two players. We've got Mr. Neeraj Agarwal, who's the Group Director at SRM. And joining us on the phone is Mr. Diwakar Nigam, CEO of Newgen Technologies. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this discussion. It's a very pertinent question: how to make UP the IT hub. There are lots of moving parts. So I'll come to you, Mr. Saran. The first question now: Noida was the initial success story for the IT space. Now, what's the plan to create more Noidas around UP for the IT and ITES space? And give us an update of the IT city which is coming up in Lucknow. Put all this in perspective for us.
Thank you. You see, initially when the IT industry started in UP, it was basically centered around Noida, Greater Noida. But the government is very keen that the development should not be limited to only the western part of the state. And we are going now almost across the state. So, in that context, the HCL IT city in Lucknow becomes important. It's the largest IT city in the country, and it's over 100 acres. And when it is complete, there will be 75,000 people working in it.
Okay.
Now, besides that, we are going now across the state. We have teamed up with the STPI, that is the Software Technology Park of India. We are setting up STPIs in Varanasi, in Gorakhpur, Agra, Meerut, Lucknow. So, we are trying to go all across the state.
Okay.
Besides, we are also having a very progressive IT startup policy. So, in that we will be having startup yatras at every division level.
All right.
So, we are going far and wide, and we are trying to gather talent from all across the state.
All right, that answer encompasses a lot of points which I'll be asking you in detail for. But let me just take one point in that: the state of IT parks being developed in, say, Agra, Meerut, Gorakhpur and Kanpur. Could you give us an appraisal of what's happening there in those four areas?
The construction has already started in Meerut and Agra. Very soon it will start in Gorakhpur.
Okay.
And in Varanasi, we are moving into a built-up space. So, these will happen really very quickly, maybe in the next 1 year or so.
All right, let's get in the industry perspective on this. Now, as Mr. Saran mentioned earlier, it was just one location or one or two locations, Noida, Greater Noida. Now the focus is to have more such cities crop up, more such locations cropping up, which are, you know, ITES centric. What's the industry reaction to that strategy of broad basing the spread of IT and ITES locations across Uttar Pradesh?
So I think it's a great strategy to have because Noida, I think, was a success. One of the reasons, biggest reason to be successful was proximity to Delhi and manpower availability. As we have more and more IT cities developing, I think there will be more availability in terms of manpower, which will help and enhance the industry overall.
All right, Mr. Nigam, let's get your perspective on this. As Mr. Saran said, the idea now is not just to develop one or two locations, but a whole lot more locations to become ITES friendly, business friendly. What's your view on that strategy, sir?
See, I think it's a great idea to develop many cities and many places for IT. But I think one of the major things worldwide has been the concentration of industry in a particular location, and for that I think Noida and Greater Noida offers great opportunity. It is not only the the nucleus is already there. The senior manpower is difficult to move to smaller cities, so they are more than happy to work from Noida, which is in the proximity of Delhi. So I think there is a great opportunity to concentrate and build the Greater Noida area to 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. Also what has happened is, if you see, there are lots of colleges there, there are educational opportunities. So I think that is also there.
All right. So, looking at the scale that you have to operate now, Earl, if it's just a matter of 1 or 2 cities, you still can attract a lot of investments. But if it's going to be a strategy which involves so many multiple locations, attracting investments could become a challenge. How do you plan to address that challenge, and what's the sort of expectation in terms of investments that you think you're going to see in this summit?
The government sees IT as a sector which provides employment to people at large. There are 614 engineering colleges in the entire state. It is true, they are in very large numbers in Noida, Greater Noida, but they are there all over the state. So we have trained manpower all over. Okay. What we are now trying to do is, we are trying to garner them, we are trying to provide them an opportunity of working near their home.
Okay.
So while on one hand we will still be having a very strong center around Noida, Greater Noida, but the entire state will get onto this IT bandwagon.
At this point, let me get both the industry voices here to answer the question of, what are the key drivers actually, in your opinion, for UP to become an IT hub? What do you think are going to be the top 3 points, in your opinion, driving UP towards become an IT hub then?
So top 3 points that I could think of is, first is education itself. You have to make it very, very strong in terms of skilling people. So unless we have the right kind of manpower coming out of colleges and other educational institutes, they will not be able to serve the industry better. The second thing is, we have to also make sure that the salary scales have to be equivalent to the other places of the in India. So there's a huge disparity in terms of salaries vis-a-vis, let's say, Bangalore versus Lucknow. So how do we compensate for that disparity? One obviously being, they would want to come back to their roots, but still it has to be lucrative enough to make them come back.
So in terms of policy initiatives, how is UP differentiating itself versus other states in terms of attracting investment in the IT and ITES space?
You see, only in December last year, December 17, we have come out with very progressive policies both for IT and ITES.
Okay.
As far as the electronic manufacturing, the ITES is concerned, we are providing capital subsidies, we are providing interest subsidies, we are providing number of incentives for the units to come up.
Okay.
Now, as far as the software industry is concerned, the IT sector, we are providing incentive for people to employ those engineering graduates who hail from UP. So there will be a positive incentive for them to take on people who belong to this region.
Okay.
So to that extent, we are providing them some sort of a subsidy, you can say. Secondly, we are providing them incentive for training of individuals, for training of their employees. And there's a cap of about 25 lakhs on that for one single person. So they can send them for very high level of skilling. Now let me just tell you that in Noida alone, you have companies like ST Microelectronics, you have companies like Freescale, who are manufacturing software for the silicon fab units. So that is the cutting edge level. So we have them. Only thing is that the scale has to be increased.
Tell us more about how important are startups going to be in this plan to make UP an IT hub of India, and specifically tell us more about the UP startup policy.
You see, the state government sees startups as a best alternative for jobs. So while jobs are being created, this offers an additional avenue to people to do their own thing, and there have been some very successful startups, so the stories are there. So we have brought out a startup policy in which we are supporting the startups. Initially, we are providing them subsistence allowance. Then we are setting up incubators with various engineering colleges. We have done it with BHUIT, with Sultan at KNIT Sultanpur, IIM Lucknow, then IIT Kanpur. More importantly, we have set up a IT startup fund, which funds majorly IT units, but it is open to all. and that is being managed by SIDBI. It's a 1,000 crore fund, of which we are now going to finalize it with SIDBI, the signing of the document and all. Now, with that coming in, we are also tying up with the India Angel Network, so that their expertise is available to the boys and girls of UP. Besides that, we have set up a very strong mentor pool, okay, and we hope that this will bear very good fruits in the future.
How many jobs do you think it could generate? Do you think a substantial portion of your jobs
See,
would
already
come from
about
startups or?
Yes, you see, in Noida there are 2,000 startups today. So the crux is you have to get it going. Almost around 70 startups are there which are reaching the initial level in UP.
All right. And do you think the success of these startups will help change that brand perception issue which you have mentioned earlier?
So I think it would, but I think it requires. I think first of all I would comment that the policy itself for startups is very, very good, and with the only push that we need is in the education sector as well, because enterprise doesn't start from bachelor's level. It has to start from school level. So it has to start from 8th grade or upwards. So we have to inculcate that feeling of enterprise and that gesture into the students as well.
All right. And the UP government also has existing incubators supported like IIT Kanpur, and then there's IIT BHU and I think 3 others.
Yes.
So what has been the experience there, and could we see more incubators being supported?
You see, it has been a very successful policy, and now in the last policy which we came out in December, we have extended it to all colleges. Earlier it was only to the government assisted and government supported colleges, but now we are going out of the way to support incubators anywhere that they can come up. So we are now supporting them, we are encouraging, MIT University has shown a lot of interest. So lot of colleges are now coming up to set up incubators.
All right, Mr. Nigam, let me get your view on at this point in time on how do you see the startup ecosystem panning out in UP? Do you think there could be the next Silicon Valley in UP?
See, somehow my opinion is a little bit different. I think there has to be a concentrated approach. Noida may not be the alone center. It could be Noida one, it could be Lucknow another. But I think if we focus on 2, 3, 4, 5 centers and build them big, build the ecosystem there, build the thing, it will work better. Because getting so many mentors, getting so many people to guide is going to be a real challenge. If you see otherwise in education system also, there are so many engineering colleges, there are so many students coming out, but as time goes by, you are finding that not all of them are good. Some of them have become really good and some of them are still lingering on. So I think because, and that is not because of the lack of the money or lack of interest, it is just dearth of talent for higher level people. So I think something has to be done there. Somebody has to think about that and service that and focus on that.
All right. Now, as we wrap up the discussion, just for the benefit of whoever is going to be attending this summit and for viewers watching at home, could you give us the highlights of the IT and ITES policy of 2017, its salient features, and especially that infused model for startups? Give us the concentrated sales pitch for UP for whoever is going to attend the event and for whoever is going to be watching it at their home.
Usually the basic thrust of the policy is to enable people to come to UP, and whatever problems they were facing, we have tried to iron out all of them. We have provided not only incentives, but we have also provided lot of facilities by way of self-declaration forms and trying to reduce the inspector Raj, things like that, which were constant irritants to the industry, that we have tried to reduce. So we will try to increase the ease of doing business also, and we have tried to remove any contact with the government servant by the investor. So we have tried to make everything online, and that is our motto.
All right, and let's get in summary statements from the industry players. Neeraj, your view on making this goal of making UP the IT hub of India, and we've heard all these various diverse points. How would you summarize your point of view of how that goal can be achieved?
So I would say the policy itself looks promising. It has to be implemented in the right intent. The intent is there. It has to be executed in the right manner. And I think I'm very, very positive on on UP and especially Lucknow. So looking forward to it.
Mr. Nigam, can we have your summary statements on this entire discussion that we have, the goal of which was to explore how UP can become the IT hub of India? What's your summary statement on that?
See, I see great intent. I see great effort at the higher levels. And we are anyway going into Noida and we will be working from there. We are extending our working from there and we hope to see a better environment to work. And I think intent is there, so something should happen.
All right, the intent is there, the initiative comes, and then we shall see if the fruits are there for everyone to pick and choose. Thank you so much to everyone on the panel joining us to discuss this topic. And of course, thank you to the viewers for tuning in for this special presentation. Thank you.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.